You are the Holy Grail, the Magdalene. Woman, no need to search.
Welcome to the Woman Arising podcast, hosted by Kathy Hartenstein and Zephy Devi, where we elevate and celebrate inspiring women on the rise. In this podcast, we talk to women from all walks of life about their soul's journey, the obstacles they overcame, and how they embody their feminine power. We hope to elevate women's place in the world, showcase their contributions, and provide inspiration for all women to rise to their fullest potential. Today, our guest is Cory Westby, who is a soul coaching practitioner, an integrative nutrition health coach, a Kundalini yoga teacher, a nutritional therapy practitioner, and a restorative wellness practitioner. Cory originally started her academic career as a food science and nutrition major, but ended up getting a degree in Spanish and a minor in comparative literature at UC Davis, as well as a master's in speech-language pathology at CSU Chico. In trying to improve her own health issues through nutrition and lifestyle, she decided to found Radiant Arrow Health. She started listening to how her body was speaking to her, the only way it knew how, and symptoms. She knows how much nutrition, lifestyle, and working with the body, mind, and spirit connection have all helped support her in her own life, improving her mood, pain, fatigue, inflammation, and autoimmune-like symptoms. What she wants people to know is do not give up. Keep moving forward. There is help, guidance, and so much knowledge and compassion on your path. Welcome, Cory. It is our true pleasure to have you here today. We are excited to hear about all the nutritional and healing work you do and how you've helped women find their unique healing journey.
Thank you for having me. This is beautiful.
When you first heard about Women Arising, what does that mean to you? And what does it make you, what kind of feelings it brings out, or what kind of emotions does it bring up for you? Because it's very important for us to really connect to those emotions and the feelings that come across when we hear something like Woman Arising. So
Yeah, I have the first thing I thought of when I heard this from you was I have a little it was actually a little card that I got at a store, and I framed it and I put it on my booth when I'm at expos, and it says, "When sleeping women wake, mountains move." And I love that because it's like I feel like we're all, this divine feminine is waking up and just sort of coming and rising, and we're all rising together, just this embodiment of this divine feminine power and vulnerability and grace and intuition and connection and everything that goes, and beauty, how we want to adorn ourselves, if that's, energetic, or with jewelry or makeup, whatever that feels like for us for that day, or, it's our choice.
that's really amazing. Can you repeat what you said again on the card? Because it was so beautiful. I really wanted to hear it again.
It's when sleeping women wake, mountains move. And it says it's a Chinese proverb. So that's what I'm told.
Interesting, because, it's also comes from a Christian tradition that it says that, if you really connect spiritually, you can move mountains. So that's very interesting that those two kind of connect. And I believe in that,
I
I
do too.
believe we move mountains as long as we're connected to ourselves.
Mhm.
And it's time the women can do that, because, we're finding a lot of women that are struggling with who they are. So thank you for that. That was really amazing. We're going to write that down somewhere. It was great.
The image is really powerful, and that idea that we are awakening, and when we do, what the power of that is, and how it can really sort of be seismic and cosmic, and really be powerful in that sense. But I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey and kind of how you got to where you are today. I was really impressed with all of the different things that you have dived into, and it sounds like you've had quite a journey with exploring health and nutrition. And I'd love to kind of hear what that journey was and what were all the things along the way.
Yeah. Well, a little bit was in the bio where I was always an athlete. I played soccer, ran track and tennis, did just a lot of things. So nutrition was always sort of on my mind. Not that I was doing it properly back then. I might have thought I was. So that's why I chose to go into nutrition. But then just with life, I guess, and I didn't like the chemistry at all. I will admit I did not like it. So I kept taking other classes until the counselor, I was about to graduate and she called me in, and while I was waiting for her, I saw this board with all of these careers on it. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't know. And speech language pathology was on there and it sort of was glowing, and I was trying to be in my intuition and follow the signs and be aware. So I asked her and she said, I don't know, let's look it up. So we did. And so after that meeting, we looked at all my classes and what I had taken. So I decided to graduate with just so I could get done with Spanish and a minor in comparative literature, and then went on to graduate school and had to do some of the prerequisites for speech language pathology. And then with that, I actually ended up working with Spanish speaking babies, which was great. And then the nutrition never left. Like I've sort of come full circle just with I decided to stay home with my kids, and then just had health issue after health issue. Um, and ended up just coming back to trying to figure that out.
Yeah. And then kind of decided to go and dive deeper into all these different things. And so, what was the first step into that you really got excited about when you re-entered into that field of nutrition?
Um, Really the mind, body, spirit, because I sort of was focusing more on spirit. I'm a spiritual person, but we need, especially now, I really feel like we need to take care of the body first. So we're in our body because that's why we're here. And we already are spirit. And then I've had just different moments where I've felt the distinct difference between the mind aspect, the spirit aspect, and the body. So for me, it's feeling that how I'm trying to live is with my spirit leading, but the spirit has to take care of the body. And then the mind is like getting all the things done to get the body healthy, to do what the spirit needs to do. And, following, structuring things and interpreting everything that needs to be done.
I love that sense of a cycle and how it's all integrated. I studied the Alexander technique and for many years, and it talks, all about how one thing in your body, when you move it, affects everything in your body. And I love that the body, mind, spirit is it's a full entity. And as we're doing each of these things, it's affecting one or the other. And ironically, I just finished working at a teletherapy company, so know a lot about speech pathology as well. So, and there's so many things in terms of speech and communication that is part of how we are in the world. So I think it was a good jumping off point for you. Can you tell me a little bit about what are some of the obstacles that you faced along the way, or the obstacles that help shape and define you on this journey?
Well, definitely the health issues, because I do believe where those are showing up and how it's showing up, it is our environment, our stress, our relationships, our careers, our, who's around us, where we're living. It's sort of all of that. And I feel like when it's showing up as like female issues, that's significant. If it's in your feet, it's significant. If it's in your neck or your back, it's all something. It's showing us the issue and exactly where where we're sort of having problems. And I knew that. So, in trying to figure out what exactly was going on, I was looking at every aspect. I was looking physically because there are issues that, if it's hormonal, and if you're not eliminating and excreting all the, the toxins and the excess hormones, then you're going to have different issues, with endometriosis or, cysts, whatever, um, however that's showing up. But it's like, why is it there? So in trying to figure out my own things when I'd seen the doctors and they were like, I don't know, everything looks good. I was like, no, it's like, I refuse to, like, I was my own guinea pig safely, in trying and listening to what I needed to do, and, and sort of like going step by step and trying to figure just all of the different health issues out, which is how I ended up continuing on into integrative nutrition health coaching, and then deeper into nutritional therapy, and then into using functional labs as a restorative wellness practitioner to like figure out the body aspect along with the soul coaching and Kundalini yoga, minds, body, spirit, because it's all of it.
And I like some of these terms. I haven't really heard them before, like soul coaching and some of the stuff. Can you describe those a little bit more? Because I am curious about what they each are.
Oh, well, soul coaching is through Denise Lynn, and that is very much like the soul knows the truth. And there was a moment where what I tell my clients is there's a moment where everything that we've done has gotten us to where we are, so we have to honor that. But when we know we need to change our lives and we start to make progress, and I know I've experienced this, and I remember specifically putting my hand on my heart. As far as I'm concerned, my spirit lives in my upper heart, just like right up, like a little flutter. So that is when I say, I know what I need to do. And when the time is right, when there's that divine timing, I will know what to do and I will do it. And that sort of holds me um, steady, I guess, instead of getting sort of like thrown through the waves of, oh my God, it's like we can tell that we're going to change our lives and we get scared and we go back like, oh, I can't do it. I go back to old habits because it's easier to a point, and then it gets harder because we're not changing. And so then something comes in and really helps change us.
I
But
really
that,
love that our soul knows the answer because I think that's really true. And so often we're looking for things outside ourselves or we're not listening fully to ourselves. And I think it's a really important thing to have that deep connection to that inner knowing. And I love that idea. I had not heard of that before. How do you incorporate that with some of the other work that you do? How does it all kind of fit together? Because you have several different licenses that you
I have too many. Well, I had actually started to work on a program to sort of like integrate sort of like how soul coaching is structured. She's done it in like a 28 days so that you can do just a couple things. There's some clutter clearing and that type of a like physical, mental, spiritual, different aspects of it. Um, just with like limiting beliefs and things like that. But it's um, how you structure your day and your life. So it's trying to find out what works for you, from the time you get up. If you're needing, or I'll just say what I do, which is I need Kundalini yoga. So I'll just do a little bit. And it's sort of like uh, I decide what to do for that time. And that sort of a commitment to myself to do that. And if I need to pivot or I'm traveling, then it's, I'll change it so that it works for my schedule. So instead of like 20 minutes, I'll do 3 minutes or whatever is in my life. But bringing in that, the soul coaching, with just honoring where I am and what I need to do and showing up for myself first,
Mm.
which holds that for the rest of the day. And the Kundalini does that energetically, I feel. I remember this one time I was traveling, and we're supposed to do it every day. Like we commit ourselves to doing whatever the thing is, which is also in soul code. Like it's all sort of connected, which is interesting. But I remember it was like I was out later than normal. And it's like I felt like Cinderella, like I was turning into the pumpkin, like everything started to like because everything was going a little, smoothly. And then it was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's energetic. I do need to do it every day because it, holds that energy and that honoring to yourself.
Yeah, having that daily discipline is really, it can be hugely important. I know, Zeph, you have a really good day practice as well. Um, so another question I have for you is, it seems like there was this moment where you really made a big shift in your life and started down this very true path for yourself with nutrition and this healing and this wholeness. As you were doing this and sort of making some of these decisions, did you, as a woman, ever encounter certain obstacles? Like, the world isn't always designed for women to have the same level of power and space as men, right? And so, was there ever a time in your life that you felt marginalized, or did you notice it when you are looking out into the world and it kind of encouraged you to kind of claim your spot?
That's a good question because, like, in a way, I feel like no. But I did have moments, like a few years ago, where I was like, sort of questioning: is it because I'm a woman, or is it because I'm in this more alternative, different way of approaching? Is it because I'm being more vulnerable and more feminine? Do I, need to show up differently? But I feel like when I don't feel like I ever really that I was.
Particularly marginalized. Did you feel
Oh.
like in the world you could see where women were marginalized, and did that encourage you to kind of do
Yeah,
in that space?
yeah, because so much is, with there there's so much focus sometimes on how we look, and there's then the emotions with that, and a lot of times with the, "Oh, I'm not worthy or undeserving," or "I can't do it." I mean, there's a lot with, like, weight and things like that that is caused more by the dysbiosis and the inflammation and things that
Mm.
aren't willpower. It's like it is a physical thing with an overgrowth from the standard American diet, and there's low hydrochloric acid, and there's inflammation, which is cytokine. Like, it turns into this whole thing, and it's not because a woman can't do it, but it turns into I can't do it and I look this way and it sort of does this downward spiral into looking better or buying the best mascara, but to feel better. you know? But like if all of that focus, I mean, we don't have to, I'm not saying anybody's body is perfect, but if you're feeling good in your body and you have curves, I mean, awesome, Um, or super skinny, it's like it's all good if you are feeling well and healthy and can do everything that you need to do. And then all of that focus and that unworthiness or that sort of downward spiral that can come. And like, if we could bring all of that together, all of that energy of, you know, feeling really sparkly and healthy and embodied and connected. I mean, I want
I absolutely love that. I think that's a really important distinction and like how we relate to our bodies as women in particular and what we're conditioned to decide we want out of our bodies versus how we want to actually be in our bodies and relate to our bodies. That's quite powerful, actually.
Well, my question is because I've been hearing, I have all these other questions, but I'm going to ask you, do you connect the emotional body with the physical body, as I heard you saying?
Yes. However, like I'm still new with my business, like um human design and astrology and all of that is something that I have that I want to bring into it almost first so that people know how their body is supposed to be structured because I've just been experimenting on myself. Um and my body needs a lot more um working out. And I started doing more of that, and then it's like I found out just because of other reasons, because I'm like, I feel better every time I work out. And so I started making my body do more because it got better and healthier and I got more done. And then with my human design, I just figured out that I need more. So I've been trying to sort of experiment, but I feel like sometimes clients aren't ready to really be with that, even though like I'll say it, but it's not heard. So I'm trying to figure out how I need to bring it in. And that's why I was going more to like maybe starting with human design. So that is the type of people and clients who are coming in who are already sort of on that wavelength. Because I really, really believe in this whole emotional, mental, physical, spiritual connection. I mean,
Yeah.
I've dealt with it with myself and I know my own journey. I feel better now. I mean, I still have things I'm trying to figure out, but I feel better now, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually than I have ever really.
Yeah, and human design definitely brings the emotions in all the way through because if you're missing parts of the body, that because I understand human design, if you miss pieces like your liver or this or that, I don't want to give the whole thing, that is also an emotion attached to it. So yeah, that's a very good approach for you to do that. But also I think the feeling is your intuition is coming in very strongly. So it feels to me that that's also something that, that is happening for you. And I like to hear that about you. And how do you feel about your intuitive side and also your feminine side? Like when you first felt all those things kind of matching and waking up together, because I think intuition and the feminine goes together. So I want to hear a little bit more about that from you.
Yeah. I feel like I'm letting her out.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, like it is all you, you go. You know what we're supposed to do here. I had a biopsy a few years ago, 3 years ago. And that is the first time I mean, I was using my intuition, I thought, but that's why I say my spirit is here in the upper heart, because that is where I felt I was waiting for the results and I felt her sacred primal rage. I have wasted all this time. And like that's when I went, I hear you and I know what I need to do. I will do it when the time is right. That's where I started with that. Um, the intuition feels different for me now because my connection is different and it's like a different voice. I mean, I say voice, but a different essence
Mhm.
that um is really pure versus trying to like understand from however I don't know how I was interpreting things before, but it's it is like more leading from the heart spirit, I guess. Um and even interpreting something like I had something in the weekend and I was like sort of like prickly, it's like, you know, and I thought, if I had had different feedback, would I be happy right now? Or is this like, and so I was sort of playing with that. And I was like, you know what? This isn't how I want to feel. And so I used music. I went through my playlist and I found a song and I'm like, yeah, that's how I want to feel. So I shifted my day just like intuitively. I went in to listen to see, like, do I need to go home? Do I just need to like call it and go rest? Or do I want to go do this other thing? What intuitively do I do? What do I need to do? And I sort of like let the intuitive stories flow out of me, and then intuitively chose. And so that's why I chose like a song. And I had a really beautiful day. And I think in that case, I didn't need to go home and rest and like lick my wounds. I needed to be around other people. I needed to just listen to my intuition, just reconnect and like sit there and then take a new step.
So you said something about allowing your rage, your feminine rage to come out. To me, that is very powerful because a lot of women are really afraid of their rage. They're really afraid of speaking. And they think if they do that, it's not feminine, it's not connected to themselves, they're not supposed to. But would you say that that would be an advice to give to women that, of course, you can say a couple other things if you want, but can you tell us a little bit about this, speaking or have the rage come out, the feminine rage? Because I love that. I'm a wild woman when it comes to that stuff.
Oh, yes. You need to listen to that because otherwise it's going to go in and there's going to be more health issues, body issues. Like that is like the purest truth that I heard. And we as women, I mean, even though I tried to be intuitive and listen to my spirit and, raise my kids and, and do all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is a place for that. And also, it's like, I think knowing when to wield that primal rage. And it was more of a wake up call to me like, oh, I am not going to squelch you. I'm going to guide this and do it in a way that is for my highest good. And it's going to propel me into my future because otherwise that there is something that we came down here to do and our minds don't know it, but she does. That primal rage is there to tell us you are way off track, like this is not the right place. And it's like when boundaries are crossed, she comes up, we squelch her down. I mean, that's how I feel anyway. And there's differences because, we have, community and we have relationships and children and there is, the going to do things in a kind way, but there's also like I did not listen for the long, and it was like I heard her. I heard that inner wisdom and I didn't want breast cancer. I didn't, and so I said, I hear you. I will change what I need to change. I know what I need to do when the time is right. I'm in. So yes, they should listen to that so they don't, end up climbing the wrong mountain.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your process of that, the breast cancer, because that's a very feminine aspect of ourselves. And women are dealing with that. A lot of women are dealing with that right now. So how even, you're saying, but I did the right things. I was, nurtured and I mean, not nurtured, but nourished myself. And I did all this. Why did I get it? So thank you for sharing that. But this is important for women to know that.
Yeah. I didn't get it.
Was the wrong diagnosis in a sense.
They were doing a biopsy to see if it was cancer. And then he put a chip in to mark the place and said, and gave my functional nurse practitioner a 20-page addendum is what she told me, saying that I don't know why it wasn't cancer because I was in the right place. I know it was. So I think he thought it was, but it didn't come out as and show up as that.
So that's when the rage came out because
When I was waiting, because when I was waiting, that was like, the fear of waiting because my mom had breast cancer. So that was a very, real thing. So that's when I was waiting to hear the results, because I had that like, oh my God, it like I thought it was.
Yeah.
And that's when the rage came out that I've wasted my time. I'm not going to get what I came down here to do. was the feeling.
That's amazing because, yeah, people do get the wrong diagnosis, and a lot of women try all sorts of kind of things, and sometimes it doesn't go away. I know a lot of women like that, and but then they start blaming themselves. So if the rage has come out when they were going to do that, they would have been maybe that you will have the miracle as well. They will have the miracle like your miracle. You know what I'm saying? You never know.
You never know, and maybe it is in their path. I don't know, because that does take you, you know, like meeting different people and down a different journey. I don't. Yeah, but you're right. Like, it does bring up the question, like, what would happen?
So, what do you do in your daily after you found that out and it's not there anymore, except the Kundalini, which I believe is an amazing. I'm a Kundalini. I'm not an instructor, but I do Kundalini yoga. Um, I never got an instructor's yoga thing. I don't know why. Like, it's not my thing. But I love yoga and I love Kundalini and I work with that. So except that, what else do you do in your daily life? And how can we tell women like a little bit of how do you say, a daily practice they can do to connect to themselves? And maybe rage is part of it. Maybe them writing down. I just wonder, what do you do to really connect to your divine feminine, because you call her she over and over again. And I just love that. I just love it.
Yeah. Um, well, I mean, there's a few, just getting really clear about what is not working. I am recently separated. We are both unhappy for a long time. So that's a huge, like, I have huge shifts in my life. And I know this isn't exactly what you were asking, but I'm sort of in a shift at this moment in time with that. Um, Along with that has been even more of a focus on my body. And what I started doing last year was rowing. And so if people can find something, and I've been tribal belly dancing. So there's my divine that is for everybody, every body shape. It is moving the hips, it gets the energy, it's, all of that. And it's dancing off each other, is with as women, everyone. I love my dance teacher. She's like, okay, now have conspiratorial glances, as we were going. And we're like, okay, let's go. Let's go dance. Um, so that's not every day, but I have dance, tribal belly dance. I have music. I mean, for me, one of the things I learned in soul coaching was match the music to your mood. You can't just go, you're angry. You just can't go, oh, let me go meditate. You're like, no, because you're angry. Yeah, And so you match that and then you bring it to where you want to be. And then I've just been listening to a whole bunch of like new music. So that has been just like amazing and fun things I want to dance to, not necessarily that I like the lyrics, but like the beat, while working out or walking and going to nature. Um, but something like that, or like when I'm going back to rowing, because it's something that you can do alone or do with a bunch of people. You're in nature, so figuring out what that was sort of on my list of like, what do I need? Like, what is missing? What will bring me to a place where I'm happier? And we as women especially need that. It's not selfish. When you're more sparkly because you're happier, you go out in the world and that goes out into the world. And then that's drawing all the right people and opportunities and everything to you. And that helps other people when they're in that sparkly joy aura to go spread that. Everything just sort of ripples out. So
That's an amazing. So you kind of, the advice is just allow the women to find what it connects to them and they can do it. I think that's really good advice because yeah, we can give A, B, and C, and sometimes that doesn't flow in their lives. But yeah, when you're angry, definitely you cannot meditate. But definitely, yes, get it with the anger, connect to that, and then relax from it, and then go meditate maybe an hour later or something like that. But thank you. That's a pretty powerful answer. I really,
And
you
honor
know,
the anger.
and
Like
honor the anger.
all
Yeah.
of these emotions are for us. They're
And
all, yeah,
and
it's
don't feel guilty. That's why we have a wild streak, as long as we can live that out.
And
Yes.
I love
Amazing.
how your body is such a part of your journey, like the belly dancing, and and that's for everybody, and that you really are doing that at the same time as rowing, which is a little bit more vigorous and athletic, I guess, and that those two things can feed the same thing, I think is very powerful. And I relate to you about the waiting on those on the diagnosis, because I had the exact same experience that, well, not a little bit different, but where I'd have a biopsy, and that reflective moment of, wait a minute, if I'm looking at my life, what are all the things that I want to be able to do and to experience? And it's almost like a fire gets lit in a way, even though there is that rage, there's also this determination, I think, of, okay, let's really be focused on how I want to create the life I really want to have. And you talked a little bit about that you're going through this shift. And it sounds like in your life, you've gone through several different shifts where there's something that has kind of moved you forward on your path, right? Like you started in graduate school doing these different types of things, then you had some health issues. That was a big part of your shift. And now you kind of dive deep, learned all these things, and now you're on to this next shift. And I'm interested, as you're kind of evolving through all of this. I know you started this company, you said it's kind of a newer company. As you're kind of evolving here into this next shift, I'm curious about kind of how you perceive yourself moving forward, and also what it is that you wish you had known as a young person. Like if you had that advice to give to yourself as a young person, what would it have been?
I would say listen to yourself first and trust yourself first, and take that into consideration when you're with other people, whether it's simple for, whether it's getting married or, going out to lunch, like what is your preference? Do you have a preference? And like check in and, even from like the little things, and that you're deserving and worthy of having, because I think we think and know we are, but I don't think we really feel that. I think it's easy to just feel like we don't have a voice and that it doesn't matter. And um, maybe for me, I was super shy and very introverted. So, sort of wasn't heard a lot as, a child is how it felt. Um, so just going back to that, I do have a voice. What I have to say is important. And always listening to that spirit first and coming from that place, because that keeps you on track. So you don't have to do the scenic route.
I like that. It's unique. Yeah. Oh, well, that is great. It's been so wonderful to get to have this conversation with you. I'd love to hear about, how people can get in touch with you, what kinds of things that you have going on and coming up that we could support you in, and that our listeners might be interested in learning about.
Yeah. My email is radiantarrowhealth@gmail.com. And I do have an Instagram, which is radiant.arrow.health. And I'm on Facebook as well, and have a website, radiantarrowhealth.com. I do a restart program, which is like the fundamentals really of nutrition and things that we didn't really learn, in health class. So I'll probably be doing that in the fall. And then I do like some shorter packages with functional lab testing and uh, that type of thing.
Well, that's great, and it sounds like there's so many different ways for people to work with you and connect with you through all the ways you help people kind of integrate that mind, body, spirit, and connect to themselves. So I really hope everybody will go to the website and really connect with Cory and learn from her wisdom. It's been a great pleasure to have you here today, Cory.
Thank you, Kathy and Zeffie. It's been my joy to be here with you both. It's been really fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Woman Arising, where we celebrate the resilience, wisdom, and power of women on the rise. Remember, when women rise, we all rise. If you're ready to embark on your journey of empowerment, sign up for our mailing list at womenarising.com and join our community of strong, inspiring women. To connect with Zeffie Devi and ignite your inner fire, visit zeffiedevi.com and sign up to get your free tantric meditation. Let Zeffie illuminate your path, helping you discover the magic and power that reside within you. To connect with Kathy Hartenstein and claim your spectacularness, visit createmorebliss.com and sign up for a free 30-minute consult call where she can help you break through your emotional blocks to success. Let Kathy be your guide on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Thank you for being a part of the Women Arising community. Together, let's continue to uplift, inspire, and empower women everywhere. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep embracing the divine feminine power that resides within you.
You are the Holy Grail, the Magdalene. Woman, no need to search any longer.